Was the US Labor Department's chief economist, now professor of public policy and economics at the University of Michigan. From Truro, Massachusetts, Happy New Year to you and good to see you. Now, this is fascinating. There's two aspects. Let's just do the money side first. We've had this ongoing battle with governments and central banks saying, don't pay too much, don't pay too much, and workers saying, we need more money.
Well, I think what you're hearing is central banks want to make sure that we're not seeing wage increases driving further inflation, because then your wage increase isn't actually going to do you any good. It's just going to be used to pay higher prices for other things. So I don't think that governments and central banks are saying we don't want to see workers getting a bigger share of the pie. But I do think what they're saying is, we really want to make sure that we don't see inflation starting to spiral through sort of, wages go up, so their employers raise their prices, right. So everybody pays more for everything. That's kind of a mess. So, and what that can come from is if you don't have enough workers, if there are 4 businesses and there's only 1 worker available, then just paying, getting into a bidding war with each other to hire the 1 person doesn't allow us to produce more. It just is inflationary.
Okay, do you believe that the wage increases that we've seen so far are essentially okay or inflationary?
So I think that the wage increases we've seen so far have been okay. I don't think that wages have been driving this inflation problem that we're seeing around the globe. But I do think if you look around the globe, what you see is very, very tight labor markets in a large number of countries. And so the question then is, if businesses are trying to hire and there aren't workers available, then what are they going to do? And what we don't want to see is them just, outbidding each other, trying to hire the same set of workers. So hopefully, if these wage increases can entice some more people back into the labor market and can expand the number of people available for jobs, then that in and of itself can be quite helpful. And if prices across the board start coming down for other reasons, workers can catch up a little bit through these wage increases without it necessarily triggering another set of inflationary price increases.
Where did the workers go? As I've traveled the world over the last few months, everyone says, shortage of workers. Everybody left during COVID. Well, the point is, if everybody left and went somewhere else, nobody seems to be saying, they came here, we've got plenty of workers. So where did they all go?
Right, where are they hiding?
Yeah.
It's funny, I was taking a look at labor force participation rates earlier today, and there are some countries where they're quite high, like Australia. So, but in the United States, they haven't quite caught up. In a number of countries, labor force participation is not all the way back. And I think, look, the truth is, in a country like the United States, some of them died. We had a lot of deaths through COVID, and those workers are gone. Some of them have just decided, it's too dangerous to work. They retired and they don't want to come back to the labor force. So what we're really seeing in particular in the US is older workers not coming back. It might be some of that going on in other countries. We also know that immigration really slowed in a way that means that, people aren't working where they might have been working if we hadn't had COVID. And so you might think of it as sort of like a misallocation of workers around the globe. So I think that process is still starting to unfold. We're seeing labor force participation rates rise. And I think these workers are going to return, at least the ones that younger workers will return. But it's been a process to heal from this great pandemic.
As we look at the inflation and the interest rate rises and the necessity for that, when do you believe this thing will turn? Inflation is coming down, to be sure, but when do you think we will be in a position of things are looking better?
So I think things are already looking better. One of the things that probably helped cause inflation, but also helped prevent a number of countries from going into a recession already, is the fact that people really cut back their spending in 2020 and even a bit in 2021. And so they had built up a lot of savings. And what happened is late in 2021 and in 2022, they started spending down that savings. But now people are seeing that that excess savings they accumulated in those lean years has started to disappear. And we're seeing people starting to cut back their spending even more. Cutting back spending will put downward pressure on prices. And what we want is for them to hit the sweet spot, which is cutting back spending enough that price increases slow without triggering a recession. This is delicate balance, but I think we are seeing the improvements we need to see right now.
Which side of the fence? Come off the fence, Betsy. Which side of the fence is it? Do you see a recession in the US?
I do not, but I'm an optimist inherently, and I think the thing to say is it's quite possible that we do not have a recession, but it is also quite possible that we do have a recession. I love that you describe it as a fence, because I really do think we're teetering on a fence right now. And I hope we fall to the grass is green side and not the recessionary side.
And on that question of where and how the economy, the US is still the cleanest dirty shirt in the laundry, in the sense that, you know, China's slowing down, got COVID issues. Europe, well, who knows what will happen with the EU. But the US does seem to be able to get its act together economically.
Well, you know, the U.S. has just had a pretty good year. We've seen a lot of job growth without the job growth itself contributing to inflation. We've seen consumer spending stay pretty robust in a way that, you know, is causing a little heartache to the central bank, but at the same time is what has prevented us from slipping into a recession so far. And we're seeing the industries that were most hurt by the pandemic, like leisure and hospitality, health services, education services, those are the ones that lost the most jobs. They're coming back slowly. They are like the little engine that could. Every month, month after month, they're a little bit more. We're doing a little bit better. And I think that the improvements in those two sectors are going to continue throughout 2023. And as long as those improvements are bigger than the contractions we see, you know, in things like the goods producing sector, where we may very well see contractions, as long as those expansions in the recovery sectors are bigger than the contractions, we're going to stay out of a recession.
I'm looking forward to talking to you more as the year progresses and we go one way or the other. Thank you for joining us. I'm very grateful to have you with us on the programme.